Good evening, dear friend. My name is Joanna Ke. It's my honor to join you this evening to help you settle down, to relax, and bring you some comfort as you prepare for a restful, deep sleep. Tonight, we have a special bedtime story, an original fairy tale I wrote for you called Fairy Godmother, a prelude to Beauty and the Beast. You don't have to be familiar with the story of Beauty and the Beast to enjoy this fairy tale. But first, let's start with helping you to relax. It's been a long day and you've been working so very hard. We'll begin with a short guided meditation. Get cozy and warm in your bed, safe under the covers. Turn out the lights. Close your eyes very softly. Take a deep breath now and slowly exhale. Inhale peace and exhale the day. Let your eyes soften and relax. And there's nothing for you to do. You have done your very best today, and that is wonderful. Feel so proud of yourself for showing up and doing your best, even and especially when it's not easy, even when there is so much going on. Each day, your best looks different because each day is different. Honor yourself now for showing up today in every way. For work, for your family, for everyone else, and most especially for all the ways you showed up for yourself. You did an amazing job today. Inhale deeply again, and as you exhale, release any tension in your neck. Allow your head to fully rest on your pillow, cozy and warm, peaceful and safe. Wonderful. For our story this evening, I'm delighted to share with you my original story, a prequel to the classic fairy tale Beauty and the Beast. A bit of backstory and a personal anecdote before our story begins. I created this story because the original tale didn't fully make sense to me. You may not know it, but the original story was written by a French woman in 1740. Her name is Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve, and her novella is titled La Belle et la Bête, translated into English as The Beauty and the Beast. Gabrielle Suzanne's original story is vastly different from the Disney version most of us know, but both versions never fully landed in my heart, and so I created the tale you are about to hear. A prequel to the tale as old as time, told from the perspective of a powerful, magical being. I would like to dedicate this story to my beloved teacher, Dr. Barbara DeAngelis, who has been a powerful, magical being in my life and shown me how to create my own magic. So now, let's begin our sleep story for the evening. This is Fairy Godmother. The cries of the infant human were foreign to me, but it was in my favor that Faye, require not the slumber that creatures in the human realm do. See to his safety, the queen pleaded to me that early winter morning. She wore a velvet cloak of rich mahogany, embroidered in gold with her family's royal crest of arms. Her babe swaddled in the same fabric. The prince brimmed with fresh innocence as she handed him to me. As a princess, she oft visited me at a moss-covered elder oak in my wood, singing to the spirits of the forest with kinship in her heart. Upon her ascent to the throne, the newly crowned queen gained the too eager attention of tricky humans in her court that whispered ideas in her ear, ideas that were poison cloaked with a saccharine smile. Time betwixt our visits prolonged, where I had been the lone confidant in her life as a youngling. The influence of court whisperers instilled in her the import of decorum. It had been nearly a year of the queen's absence in my life. When I longed for our once cherished friendship, I grieved for becoming entangled with a creature that held our bond with such fickle manner, though my love for her never waned. Spirits of the forest are all connected. Through them, I happily learned the queen had taken a lover and was pregnant with child. It was mere days before the wedding when she called on me with great urgency. I appeared in the corner of her bedchamber in the palace, not in my natural form, of course, but that which always brought comfort for her, a female human, though there was no hiding my iridescent skin that revealed my true fey nature. Immediately, I was overwhelmed by thick despair that permeated the room. Deep cries of distress from the queen struck me. Was she injured? The room, stiflingly warm, was crowded with members of her court. They blocked my view of the queen's bed where her cries originated. Suddenly, the queen stood upright, allowing me a glimpse of her through the crowd. She turned and met eyes with me. "All out, make haste, out now," she ordered the crowd. Court whisperers glared at me through the shadows of deep-set eyes as they departed. Blood-stained white aprons hung from the necks of some of the withdrawing crowd. Human healers, I supposed. Most that exited were lost in shock and sorrow, failing to even register my presence. Their departure cleared the way for me to see the reason. The queen's lover lay still upon the bed, a blood-soaked bandage on his head. The queen, belly swollen with child, dropped to her knees before me. "Noble fairy, I have not asked for anything of late. I beg of you to give me this, please. Give him back to me. Revive him. Please bring him back." Her lover had fallen from his horse and had not yet woken. As she begged me for his life, I took in his unmoving body, laying on the bed, the stiffness of his joints, the pale waxiness of his skin, the motionless glass-like eyes staring up at nothing. No spark of life remained. This was no longer her lover, but a corpse. She peered up at me, eyes brimming with tears, and all I could see was the young thing that had visited me in the wood. Her eyes, the same eyes full of pain as the princess that held on to me after losing her father and sisters to plague. Now alone again in this human realm, without her lover by her side. My heart ached for her. I took her hands and gently lifted her from the ground. She gazed at me in such earnest that it was difficult to deliver the truth. "My dear rare jewel, my heart breaks as it is only compassion that I may offer your shattered heart. It is beyond my gifts to bring back a soul that has already left. I am sorry, my dear friend." Her hope collapsed. She threw her arms around me and sobbed. Then I sensed a shift, as did she. I caught her as her legs gave out, a pool of liquid on the wooden floorboards beneath her. Her labor had commenced. At once, I summoned the human healers to assist. The burden of stress from the Queen's grief triggered the birthing process, they declared. I remained by her side through it all and ensured her delivery was expeditious and free of pain. She gave birth in the very bed that her lover had died in. The prince was born in the weeks before the invasion of the malevolent king. Sick with grief and wielding her maternal instincts, the queen proclaimed her place was at the head of her legion to protect her people. "See to his safety," she pleaded to me before she left, well aware that spies and tricky humans may harm the prince in her absence. "Be his godmother, as you have been to me. There is no soul I trust more." I vowed to protect him. Human babes have a pure heart at birth. With such a heart, one can enter and perceive all realms, but they quickly outgrow it. For the first year of his life, I kept the prince safe in the Fey realm, save for visits to his wet nurse, much to the dismay of the whisperers of the court. Their schemes for him gained no traction with such an arrangement. As the war dragged on, the prince could no longer pass through the doorway to my realm. The queen acquired extra guards and palace servants to look after him. I oft visited, though it was impossible for me to always be by his side in the palace. I summoned Fey caretakers to dote on him and fill the hole that the loss of his father and absence of his mother left. Colorful parrots, bears, baboons, enchanted animals of all manner that could speak with him, play with him, comfort him, and see to his every desire and need filled the palace. The prince delighted in how they dressed in the finest clothes, exotic birds sang him to sleep. A female gorilla with a soft pink dress was his favorite companion. She oft danced with him. He napped in the solace of her strong arms. She harvested fresh citrus for him, the prince's favorite treat. Of course, not all were delighted by my conjurings. The offense of the revolted human servants and court whisperers did not bother me so long as the prince was safe. Nonetheless, the whisperers seized their opportunity. They sent word to the queen that the prince had become abnormal with Fey company, that my presence was enormously upsetting and damaging to him. Consumed in the throes of battle, she did not send inquiry to me of the matter, nor come to see the true state of the prince. Rather, I received royal orders from the queen. "Henceforth thou shalt abstain from palace visitation. Educate and counsel the prince in your wood, as when I was princess." The cold curtness of the order took me aback and spurred concern for the prince. Irrespective of human orders, my vow was to protect him, and I intended to honor that. When his Fey caretakers first brought him to me in the forest, it had been 4 years since his birth. 4 years of weary war. The prince grew to be the spitting image of his mother, a beauty. I entertained him on a bed of soft grasses near the elder oak, its branches twisting in every direction above our heads. The prince fascinated in toadstools, so I beckoned a circle of fat mushrooms to sprout around him. His bright laughter made my heart sing with joy. When he was downhearted, I bade hummingbirds and dragonflies to encircle him to gladden his days. When it was cold, I warmed him, a blessing from an August fairy. Where his mother chattered without end as a princess, the prince was a boy of few words. I regaled him with stories of his mother, the warrior queen that protected the land. "She sat with me just as you sit with me now," I professed. He smiled in awe. Oh, it was not so at the start. I observed her for many a month from afar, in wariness and a touch of curiosity. She held conversations with me, though I had never shown myself to her nor deigned to respond. Your mother was wise to the invisible world, even as a youngling. May we go to the invisible world? He queried in wonder. Oh, but you have, dear heart. You dwelled there with me when you were a babe. Do you remember? He furrowed his brow, trying to clear the fog of forgetfulness. I only remember you here with the mushrooms and the trees. His face dropped in disappointment. Despair not. This is how it is meant to be. Humans walk a dissimilar path. Human babes perceive all realms. Your pure heart allows it. The harshness of your realm eventually shadows the light, yet only if you permit it. You forget what you're capable of, and then you forget that you have forgotten. The visible world seduces you, and it is up to you to remember. There is redundant suffering in the forgetting of the invisible. Those that remember are blessed indeed. He contemplated this. I knew it was a concept challenging for the human creature. Shall I show you? He nodded vigorously. In the twinkling of an eye, I vanished before him. His eyes widened in amazement. I spoke to him without words, in his heart. I am here, but I am not here. I floated a butterfly with shimmering amethyst wings near him to assure him of my presence. My realm exists next to, yet also on top of yours. It is all that is visible and all that is invisible. Human eyes are restricted to the visible, though your capabilities stretch far beyond that. The human heart contains mastery that is superior to your eyes. He stared at the butterfly before him and cautiously raised his hand. My winged emissary delicately landed there. He peered at my butterfly as it peered right back at him, twitching its antennas. All at once, worry overtook him. Is there war in the invisible realm? He asked. I went still at such a sad question from too young a human, one who had seen death from the moment of his birth. Though he was full of youth, his spirit was much older. I lifted the butterfly from his hand and made myself visible. I brought rays of glittering sunlight to him through the treetops and answered the real question underneath his query. My sweet prince, there is nothing and no one that would ever take me from you. He calmed in reassurance. The war dragged on for years. I was dispirited when the prince departed each visit and returned to the palace. I could feel the probing tentacles of the court whisperers poking at him. I offered him all I could to educate him and bring him happy memories of his mother, to dispel the poison the whisperers spilled into his ears. I showed him presents his mother bestowed on me when she was a youngling. Shiny, small mirrors, intricately decorated in silver and gold. A gold ring with a single ruby that had belonged to the queen's mother, his grandmother. I regaled him with tales of her generosity. Once she left a lump of bread brought as refreshment for herself, yet quickly broken in half to share. Nourishment humans find satisfying is abhorrent to Fae, but I was deeply touched by the sharing of her wealth. The sharing of wealth is a trait held by great queens and kings. He turned the gifts over and over in his small hands in wonder, brought them to his lips to offer a kiss. I felt the affection he wished to offer his mother. He stared at the objects his mother once touched, now in his own hands. "Sweet prince, I charge you with a task of immense importance," I said. He lifted his head in eager anticipation. "May you treasure your new presents as I have." I folded his fingers over the gifts and held his hands in mine. "May you feel the love of your mother in them as I have." A happy tear spilled from his eye. As the prince blossomed into a young man, court whisperers began to accompany him on visits. The first time they escorted him to the forest, it was 10 years since his birth. "My kinsman bid me to join us," he said. I looked from the sincerity of his eyes to the supposed kinsman lurking behind him. A pair of male humans of similar height shifted their stances in unease when met with my gaze. Rich clothes of brocade and silk and jeweled fingers displayed their wealth, but could not hide the hideousness of their souls. Each was at least twice the age of the prince, though he affirmed them as friends. I saw the darkness in their eyes, felt their duplicitous attempts to pry into all areas of the prince's life. "False kinsmen, be more welcome in a burial ground than this hallowed place." I chased them off with foxes, fitting for the tricky humans they were. They fled in fright, tripping over themselves as they went. The prince cried out, failing to bring their return. Incredulous, he balled his little fists at his sides. "You make a mockery of me." "Dear heart, it is out of love that I protect you," I said. "There is shadow in their eyes, ill will aimed at you. Can you not see it?" He was surprised to hear that, and looked down in confusion and shame. "You are sole heir to the throne. The queen is in battle. There are those that will seek you out to achieve their own purposes, even if it brings harm to you. Your well-being is paramount for the kingdom. It is paramount to your mother, and to me." "Then why does she not return home if I am so important, as you say?" He was vexed. I felt the pain behind his question. "I have no kin, no companions. Enchanted beasts are my dearest friends. It's not normal. It is improper. None of it is appropriate for a prince that will one day be a king." "Appropriate? Is this one of their teachings?" I asked. He deigned not respond. The answer I already knew. "I know it pains you to be far from your mother. I miss her." "I do not miss what I have never known." The fire of his anger spit out the words like hot coals. "I should stand beside the queen and take up arms, hiding as a coward in the palace, being cared for by filthy beasts, and talking to an unruly fae is no place for a prince. I wish to partake in the glory of battle." My voice boomed through the forest as my iridescent female human form grew in size to match it. "There is no glory in battle, human boy." He shrunk before me. "There is horror and agony and irreparable pain that your mother spares you from. You find yourself incapable of discerning light from darkness at present. What unwise expectation you have to lead a legion when you are incapable of leading yourself." He stared daggers at me. An ember of pain flickered at the center of my chest. I ignored it as he shouted up at me. "Why should you be all knowing of light and dark? It should be me." He stalked away without another word. The ember in my chest flared into a heart-wrenching blaze. I gasped, doubling over in my human female form. This was a sensation I had never felt before, as if fire radiated from the prince's heart to mine. I placed a healing hand on the chest of my human form, reviving myself. I had heard of this in tales of warning from ancient Fae. They preached caution in bonds with humans, for the human creature's pride, if not balanced with humility, caused great harm to the Fae linked with them. As the burning dwindled, I could not fathom abandoning the prince. I would not do it. The queen was a ghost in his life. She left her maternal responsibilities to those that served her, unwilling to return even for a short spell, for fear of losing any ground she had gained in the war. The only word she sent was for the prince to receive whatsoever he wished in her absence, and for his continued education in the forest. I could not replace his mother, but as much as my heart stung, I silently reaffirmed my oath to him. The light in the prince's eyes dimmed much faster than his mother's. One morning, I awaited the prince's arrival under the elder oak, when suddenly the rustle of many footsteps on the greens struck me, accompanied by swirling feelings of fury and grief. This was most unusual. The spirits of the forest and I readied for unwelcome guests. Leaves of the trees grew larger, rose higher, and created a darkened canopy. Birds quieted and sought safety on high branches. I stood steady and firm near my elder oak friend. That is when I saw them. The prince's once beloved Fae caretakers, escorted by court whisperers, filed into the forest one by one. Heads bowed in shame, the dejection on their faces bruised me. I met them with love under the elder oak. My heart broke as I felt those that had cared for him for years, waiting on him hand and foot, had been banished for no other reason than they were no longer deemed as proper for the palace. The pompous court whisperers, swords on their hips, roughly pushed them toward me. In an instant, I bade wolves to hunt them. Gigantic canines, teeth bared, manifested in thin air, growling and leaping for the whisperers. The disdainful human creatures soiled themselves as they made haste to safety. The prince's once favorite gorilla lumbered my way in her soft pink dress, tears soaking her face. I embraced her as I ushered them all back to my realm. "You have not failed him nor me," I promised her as the burning in my chest returned. That is when I knew the prince was very unlike his mother. Where she sought to understand the invisible as a youngling, to keep the light ablaze when she felt wounded, the prince stoked the fires of his rage and preferred the faithless adulation of haughty court whisperers. The day finally came, when the burning in my chest exceeded my tolerance for it. The prince attempted to enlighten me of his recent discoveries. "I have been reliably informed that such teachings, such work of the heart, as you put it, is needless for certain souls," he declared. "For as you say, I was born with innate talent to access the invisible. Nobility, such as I, are born to rule." Pain flared in my chest, yet I pressed on. This is a misunderstanding. It is one matter to be born into a role, it is quite another to accept the responsibility of it and hone your innate skills to the best of your ability to truly serve. One can inhabit a role and serve themselves. One may also inhabit the same role and serve others. One is destruction, the other creation. He replied curtly. I felt the defiance and doubt in him. Shadows swirled in his eyes. As he pondered, pain radiated to the limbs of my human form. Yet how? I apologize, dear prince. I love you, but our visit this day ends here. In truth, such interactions with you come with a price I pay. I must recover now. We shall resume once you have considered what I have offered. He raised his chin, mouth tight. Rage boiled in him. He stiffly bowed, turned on his heel, and departed post-haste. I took respite in the invisible realm forthwith. Time moves differently in the invisible realm. What appears as a long expanse of time also passes swiftly. I do not know how long it was before my recuperation was cut short. Upset in the wood shook me. An alarm was raised by the spirits of the forest. They come, Elder, the Elder. At once I appeared as a large face in the leaves of the elder oak to ascertain the disturbance. The stink of alcohol filled the space. A servant hauled weapons on her back, swords, bows, arrows. The prince and a court whisperer kicked at healthy mushrooms until they were shredded. Copious jewels adorned the prince's neck and fingers in a great show of wealth. He held a bow. Their raucous laughter was like a stone thrown into a tranquil pond, disturbing everything around it. While I was wary of the court whisperer, the servant meant no harm. Still, she visibly quaked. She knew this forest was mine. Arrow, the prince sloppily demanded from her. She glanced up to see my face among the leaves. Aghast, the servant lost her grit and made a run for it, dropping arrows in the process. Coward. Run, little coward. The prince snatched an arrow from the ground, almost losing his balance as he did. He haphazardly aimed for the fleeing servant. The whisperer threw his head back in laughter. I summoned an emissary. A red-tailed hawk squawked above the prince's head and swept low, spoiling his aim. The arrow landed among the treetops. Damn you, fey whore! He threw his bow and arrow to the ground. She is but a servant. One of my rings is worth more than her whole life. What now, will you send your foxes for me? How about a wolf? The prince drew a short sword from its sheath at his side, winked at his whisperer friend, encouraging him to do the same. The whisperer cautiously unsheathed his sword, keeping eye on the wood around him. Show yourself, the prince demanded. His anger this day was unlike any other I had experienced. I laid in wait. A human commanding Fae to appear is akin to demanding the ocean to rise. Futile. Furious, he lashed out and wildly stabbed at the elder oak. The whisperer gleefully joined him, gouging and hacking. The tortured screams of the elder oak rose within me as its trunk was slashed, limbs severed, and I could take it no more. The prince raised his sword to a young limb and swung down with aim to cleave it off, yet his sword halted in midair. I appeared before him, gripping the sword blade with ease. He tried to dislodge it, but it did not move. The whisperer caught sight of the prince's predicament. With one look from me, the whisperer abandoned his sword and fled. I sent a bear after him for good measure. The prince shouted and squirmed, striving with all his might to free his blade. This is treason. You attack your prince. You treasonous... He shouted in searing pain as I heated the sword through. He finally released it, gripping his burned hand. I held the pathetic weapon before me, continuing to heat it until molten metal dripped through my fingers to the ground. "You maim me. My mother will hear of this. We will finally be rid of you, Fey filth." He spat on the ground, then tossed a crumpled parchment at me before stalking off like a rabid beast. The parchment, a royal decree from the front line. The war was at its end. The malevolent king finally surrendered. The queen would be home for the prince's birth celebration in less than a fortnight. The queen, to my astonishment, visited me upon her arrival home. Though I would always welcome her with open arms, a stranger accompanied her. I was already standing among the thick roots of the elder oak when she came into view, hooded figure in tow. There was a heaviness in the queen. I felt the years of war that had worn on her the closer she came, like a whetstone that had too many knives scraped against it. Upon seeing me, some of her weariness lifted, and she ran into my arms. Wisely, the hooded figure stood at a distance. The queen wept when I held her. Wounds of war are both visible and invisible, the latter the most damaging. She suddenly became aware of herself and stifled her tears. The queen stood back, emotion erased, and removed the dampness from her face with a kerchief. Her eyes held layers of shadows, though I detected a spark of light trying to find life within. "You require rest, my dear queen. For too long have you been away," I offered her. I also noted the long sword strapped to the back of the hooded figure. "Does danger follow you from more? I sense no others in the forest." "There is no danger, not how... Well, this is the way things must be, for the present." Her eyes darted to the elder oak, fresh wounds from the prince marking it. She quelled her surprise at the damage, though I felt it entirely. "You require guard to speak with me?" I said, then addressed her guard. "You must wish for death to come so armed." The queen cut in. "The prince claims injury from you. I have seen it with my own eyes." She looked down. "He is more precious to me than anything. The war is at end. I am incapable of reviving the lives it claimed and the many more it destroyed. All I wish is to rebuild my life, rebuild this kingdom. I find myself desperate for reprieve from conflict. I will not battle with my own son, not when it is my time to heal with him now." The queen touched her hand to the damaged bark of the elder oak. "Though I see I did not receive the fullness of truth from him." The small spark in her eyes glimmered, though I felt her spirit tired. She had given the whole of herself to war. I reassured her. "I have only ever and will only ever offer him my love. It is his best interest, his highest potential that I have at heart." She sighed. "I know. Please believe that I do know." Shadows swirled once again in her eyes, darkening the light within. Though we stood close, if she could see the invisible distance between us, the queen would know how far away she truly was. She contemplated her next words carefully. "I confess that I seek you out on behalf of my son, the prince. He has decided that, well, you see, I wish all to attend his celebration this eve. He has expressed his desire for you not to attend. I must say that after my extended absence, I wish for you to be present. War has taught me that life may change at any moment. However, I came to inform me that this is his wish." I marked the defeat in her and attempted to rouse the warrior queen within. "It is your palace. You are a queen victorious from a war that spanned many a year, a rare feat. Declare your desires to your prince." The queen downcast her eyes. She declined to defy her son's wishes. "Will you come to protect him, yet remain unseen? Many will attend. I fear for him, as I always do." "My friend wishes me to hide myself for her," I said. "For the prince," she replied. "For the prince," I echoed, and considered the alternative. Then gave my answer. "As you wish. I will attend unseen to honor my vow, to protect him." The celebration was befitting the prince. He'd demanded only the finest. Silver platters of food, of savory and sweet, continually paraded out of the kitchens. The prince desired a cake for each year that his mother had been absent from his day of birth festivities. 14 tiered cakes stood on gilded pedestals throughout the ballroom. As the queen saw each one, she downed more drink. The cakes, reminders of years of festering wounds in her relationship with her son. Guests arrived, dressed in their finest. An invitation was extended to all. It was the guest arrivals that pulled my attention. The number of guests in the ballroom did not match the number that came to the door. The prince had placed himself in direct view of the arrivals, his court whisperers surrounding him. He assessed each guest. If they didn't meet his standard in countenance or clothing, the guest was turned away. He cackled with the court whisperers. I watched as those that came to honor the prince left weeping and questioning themselves. I watched as the queen busied herself with the many that wished to greet her, watching the prince out of the corner of her eye. When she called for another drink, I spoke to her without words in her heart. "Do you disregard the cries of the many after a war so hard won, for the satisfaction of only one? Remember who you are." To my elation, she considered my words, then excused herself from conversing with a burly male guest. The queen beckoned the prince join her away from prying ears. I allowed them privacy. Outside the ballroom doors, I found dejected guests. They sat on steps, heads hanging low, presents wrapped with care, lonely beside them. Tears fell. Suddenly, I felt burning in my being and heard the prince shout from inside. "She wishes to bed me, mother. I deny her, but she is relentless. The fairy professes her love for me with no end. How could you leave me with one so terrifying and hideous? What tortures have you subjected me to so you can play war and leave me in the hands of a monster?" He declared it with such venomous loathing, such strength of will. I was instantly inside the ballroom. All eyes and ears were on the prince and his mother. The queen, frozen with trepidation. The dreaded battle with her son was at hand, in full view for all to witness. She tried to find her words, but the drink she drowned herself in dulled her clarity. The whisperers, emboldened, became busy, whispering ideas among the crowd. "The Fae has no place around any human. Behold the destruction the Queen's decisions have caused. Oh, the indecency of it all." I decided to no longer be an unseen, genteel party guest. I unleashed the fullness of my gifts, making my presence known, illuminating the entire hall, appearing directly in front of the prince and the queen towering above them. The prince cowered before me, it dawning on him that I had heard every word. Court whisperers startled. Bravado masked their fright. Servants and guests stiffened in shock. Some panicked. They dropped goblets and plates and ran for the courtyard. I addressed the prince. My vow is to protect you, human prince, and I shall see that promise fulfilled. I bestow upon you a binding to enlighten and cure you of such ruinous ways that would destroy your kingdom should you one day come to rule. May you understand what it means to be truly terrifying and hideous. I began to call forth my binding spell. No, cried the queen, lunging for me with a dagger. By only my gaze did I halt her in her tracks. The whisperers took advantage of the distraction and moved to charge me. Before a single sword was unsheathed, I smoothly raised my hand. Their bodies rapidly shrank. Fine clothes crumpled to the marble floor. Black slugs, spineless and slimy as the humans they once were, crawled forth from beneath the brocades and silks. My attention went to the queen. Fairweather friend, absent mother, privileged queen, it is you who authorizes this behavior. It is your own entitlement and ignorance that has inspired his audacity. It is the beauty of this precious son of yours that renders you so vain. Appearances mean nothing if not matched with the light of a pure heart. You shall have no contact with the prince so long as the curse is unbroken, lest it become permanent. Should you speak his name on your lips or divulge you know him in any way, his state will become permanent. I charge him with the deed to overcome the true hideousness of the lowest of humankind, that of a cruel soul supremely concerned with his own will and what the eye perceives. I beheld the prince. The fear on his face stung my heart, but the fire of devotion in my being overrode it. I now fulfill my promise to protect you, even from your own self. I called forth the divine forces gifted to me and wove the curse, binding him to his fate. He cried out as his body grew to a massive size, so large that he fell from the weight. His nose engorged and grew until it resembled that of an elephant. His skin bubbled and cracked, becoming calloused and wrinkled, transforming to a dark gray. His hair fell in clumps as he clawed at it, trying to comprehend his fate. Thick scales took place of the hair, all the way down his spine, which lengthened and grew into a reptilian tail. Claws pushed out from his fingertips as his hands swelled into massive paws. I command you to appear and speak as stupid as your soul is horrible, and to remain in this state until a human that shines with inner beauty of their own accord come to you and feel genuine tender affection for you. Until this rare human desires to marry you, you will remain an object of horror to yourself and to all who behold you. I turned to the queen, still frozen, holding her useless dagger. I warn you that if you acknowledge to anyone that this monster is your son, he shall never recover his natural shape. Nothing and no one may assist to restore him. The queen cried out to me, Such a condition is fatal. You vow to protect yet sentence him to death. Should others discover his appearance, they will slay him. You leave him defenseless and alone. I cast my gaze to the courtyard through the window. Servants and guests fled from the palace. In the blink of an eye, all turned to stone. Elegant statues that would return to their glory once the prince was free of that which bound him. Silence overtook the palace. All guests in the hall and beyond stilled into stone statues. A vast fog surrounded the grounds, encasing the palace in a natural boundary to keep it hidden from prying eyes. I spoke to the queen. Convey to your people that the fairy who educated your son keeps him close for an important mission, and those that serve him remain at his side. In the meantime, I waved my hand once more, and the courtyard outside bloomed with trees of fruits, citrus that I remember he loved. Bushes of elegant roses blossomed along the pathways. A large garden sprouted with herbs and vegetables. Footsteps approached the ballroom. The queen and prince quivered in anticipation of what might befall them next. In the doorway, the gorilla in the pink dress appeared, accompanied by the fey caretakers that once served the prince. The gracious gorilla met my gaze, tipping her chin in understanding. They will care for you, keep you company. You will never want for anything, but you shall remain here until you have broken the enchantment. Do not be impatient. You will not have long to wait. Such a beauty will soon find a remedy for your misfortune. The prince groaned on the ground, gaining his bearings with his now monstrous body. The queen sobbed, unable to look upon her son. I took one last sad glance at my friend, the queen, and the prince as I beckoned transport back to my home outside the human realm. I addressed them one last time. I withdraw now. May you outgrow the brute that lives inside you. May your inner light overcome the darkness and you come to know true love, for love is the only true beauty. Adieu. I turned into mist and disappeared before their eyes, holding to the hope that the prince would one day soon be cured of his wickedness for the benefit of all. Until then, every bit of him would remain a beast. Thank you for letting me take you on a journey. Wishing you a restful, deep, refreshing sleep. Sending you all my love. Good night.